Once upon a time, in a city far away, there lived a strong woman named Amina. The camera shows Amina, early 30s, waking before sunrise. She quietly washes her face, ties her scarf, and begins kneading dough. Her hands are cracked, rough but steady. Voice over Amina: these hands have washed, cooked, stitched, carried, and begged. But never, ever have they stopped holding hope. Her children, a little boy and girl, wake up. Their clothes are worn, school bags torn. Amina smiles, hiding her tiredness, and gives them bread. She works in multiple places, cleaning houses, sewing clothes at night. People often ignore her or underpay her. One day, after a long day of work, Amina walks home in the rain, carrying groceries in one hand, books for her children in the other. Neighbor mocking: "Why try so hard, Amina? Poor will always stay poor." Amina lowers her eyes but whispers to herself, "Amina, my children will not." We then see her husband leaving years ago, saying he can't handle the struggles. Young Amina crying, holding her babies in her arms. The screen fades back to present, where she wipes her tears and keeps working. Night, the children are asleep. Amina sits alone sewing, her hands bleeding from the needle. She stares at her cracked fingers and finally breaks down, crying silently. Voice over Amina: Ya Allah, I have nothing left. Only you know how much strength I need. Thunder outside. She leans on the table and falls asleep from exhaustion. Next morning, her son runs in with excitement, holding a letter, son shouting, "Ami, Ami, I won the scholarship. They're paying for my school." Amina drops the cloth in her hand, stunned. She hugs her son tightly, tears flowing. This time, tears of joy. Amina worked tirelessly to give her children a better life. Years pass. Amina, now older, sits in the audience. Her children, well-dressed, walk onto the stage to receive awards. Everyone claps. Amina claps too, but her hands tremble with emotion. Daughter on stage, giving a speech. Everything we are today is because of our mother. She taught us strength, even when she had nothing left. These hands built our future. The spotlight falls on Amina, who is crying and smiling at the same time. People in the hall stand and applaud her. The children hold their mother's hands as they walk together. The camera focuses on her hands, once cracked and tired, now gently held by her children with love and pride. Voiceover Amina: yes, these hands suffered, but they also carried hope. And today, they are finally at rest. The hardships are finally behind her. There was once a woman named Zubaydah who had hands like wrinkled maps, each line telling tales of a life well lived. She had used those hands to nurture generations, to heal the sick, and to spread love. But as she grew older, her hands became more frail. However, they never stopped reaching out, touching lives, and making a difference. One day, Zubaydah was sitting in her rocking chair, her gaze distant. Her grandchildren, curious about the strange lines on their grandmother's hands, gathered around her. Zubaydah, with a twinkle in her eye, began to share stories of her life, of the joys and sorrows she had weathered, all while cradling her grandchildren's tiny hands in hers. "These hands," she said softly, "have known both hardship and happiness, loss and love. Each crease holds a memory, each scar a lesson." As she spoke, the children looked at their grandmother's hands with newfound respect and affection. Then little Hassan, the youngest of the grandchildren, asked, "Will my hands get wrinkly too, Grandma?" Zubaydah smiled and said, "They sure will, Hassan, and each wrinkle will be a badge of honor, showing that you've lived a life full of kindness and love." Zubaydah passed down her wisdom to her grandchildren, teaching them the value of compassion, courage, and perseverance. She told them about the times when her hands had soothed a crying child, planted seeds of hope, and reached out to help others. She emphasized that it wasn't just about the wrinkles, but what they represented. Years went by, and Zubaydah's hands continued to tell their stories. They bore witness to countless acts of kindness, creation, and comfort. Even when her hands grew weaker, they never lost their strength. They remained symbols of a life dedicated to love, service, and family. One day, Zubaydah passed away peacefully, her hands resting on her lap. Her grandchildren, now grown up, stood by her side, each holding one of her hands. They felt the weight of her legacy, the countless lives she had touched, and the love she had shared. As they laid her to rest, they promised to honor her memory by following in her footsteps, by being kind, compassionate, and strong. The old woman's hands were more than just wrinkled. They were pathways of a life filled with purpose, passion, and profound humanity. And her grandchildren, looking at their own hands, knew that they had inherited more than just genes. They had received a legacy of love and service that would forever guide their path. Now, let's meet an amazing superhero whose superpower is to use her hands to help others. Once upon a time, in a bustling city, lived a superhero whose superpower was her hands. She could fix anything with them. Whenever someone was hurt, she was there to help. Her superpower was so incredible that people from all over came to her for help. One day, a young girl approached her. Her teddy bear was ripped, its fur coming apart. The superhero examined the damage, her gentle touch calming the girl's fears. With a few deft movements, she mended the bear, its fur as good as new. The girl hugged her teddy tight, her eyes shining with gratitude. Word spread about the superhero, attracting the attention of a famous inventor. He had a complex machine that was vital for his experiments, but it was broken beyond repair, or so everyone thought. He offered the superhero a hefty sum of money to fix it, but she declined the payment. Seeing the wonder in the inventor's eyes, she took on the challenge. For days she worked, her hands moving with precision and care. Finally, she presented the fixed machine to the inventor. His joy knew no bounds. Not only was the machine operational, but it was even better than before. He realized that her superpower lay not just in fixing things, but in understanding and improving them. But the superhero's kindness didn't stop there. She used her skills to create prosthetics for those in need, tools for the elderly, and toys for underprivileged children. Her hands, calloused yet gentle, became a symbol of hope and healing. One day a villain appeared, envious of the superhero's abilities. He challenged her to a contest, boasting that his advanced technology would defeat her outdated methods. The stakes were high. If she won, he would leave town and never bother her again. If she lost, she would have to abandon using her powers forever. The superhero accepted the challenge. The contest began, and the villain effortlessly fixed a shattered vase, a broken watch, and a torn coat. The crowd gasped at his speed and precision, wondering how she could possibly win. But the superhero remained calm. It was her turn. She started with a ripped umbrella, mending it with such grace that the crowd applauded. Next, she tackled a damaged radio, not just fixing it, but enhancing its sound quality. Finally, she faced the ultimate test, a mangled wheelchair. As she worked, the crowd watched in suspense. And then it happened. The superhero completed the repairs, and the wheelchair, now stronger and smoother, rolled forward on its own. The crowd roared with approval. The villain, defeated and ashamed, vanished into thin air. From that day on, the superhero continued to use her hands to make the world a better place. She proved that true strength wasn't about advanced technology, but about the power of compassion and skill. And so the tale of the superhero and her magical hands became a legend, inspiring generations to come.